All right, so I'm gonna title this one "Crazy Girl," and I'm gonna hop right into the story. Um, about 2 or 3 months ago, I got introduced to this dating app, and upon signing up, I quickly realized that most of my encounters was with Canadian women. I have no idea why that was the case, and actually, it was a little annoying at first, but then I took a real liking to the Canadian women, and I'll explain those reasons on another video on another day. But anyways, I started to take a real liking to the app and the Canadian women I was interacting with. And it didn't take too long before I was kind of anxious and looking forward to crossing the border and meeting some of the people that I had connected with. But, anyways, when I finally did make the trip, there was this one girl in particular who I was kind of skeptical about. And funny thing is, I actually ran across her profile again today, and I was thinking to myself, I can't even believe she made it to the point that she made it to, because normally, if I sense some suspicious activity on a profile, I automatically swipe left and don't even deal with it. Her profile, it kind of appeared that she was trying to hide her face, and I don't be having time for those type of games. So I don't know how I ended up swiping right, but long story short, when I did make it across the border, I wanted to meet a couple of people, but I wasn't really anxious to meet her. And as a matter of fact, I didn't end up meeting her that time. So my trip came and went, and on my way back to Rochester, she called me. I mean, she knew I was in town, so she called me and was basically like, "Oh, really? You came here and didn't bother to try to meet me or see me or whatever the case may be." Now, this was the first time I actually spoke to her. Up until that point, it was just messaging on the app, and we did exchange numbers, but we was just text messaging. So up until that point, she actually called me and was kind of pressing me a little bit, and instantly I was turned off. Not because she was pressing me, but just from the tone of her voice. She was like super aggressive, super loud, super ghetto and masculine. And I don't I don't deal with that shit. You know what I'm saying? I know that that's way more work than I'm willing to put in. So under normal circumstances, I would have hung up the phone and never looked back. But in this particular situation, I had about 3.5 hours ahead of me to drive back to Rochester. So I said, you know what, fuck it. For my own entertainment, I'm gonna have a verbal a battle with her, if you will, or at least that's what I assumed it was gonna be. So I braced her for it. You know what I'm saying? She was just talking 100 miles an hour. She was over talking me. She was doing all types of stuff. So I waited until she was done, and in a very calm tone, I prepared her for what was about to come next, because I didn't want to offend her to the point where she wanted to hang up on me. I was determined to give her a piece of my mind, if you will. So I was just like, hey, listen, what I'm about to say is not meant to offend you in any way. I have no ill will. I said, maybe there are some things that you can learn from what's about to happen, and maybe there are some things that I can learn from the conversation we're about to have. So, don't get into a hissy fit or whatever and try to hang up. Let's actually have this conversation for better or worse. And she got quiet a little bit and was like, "Oh, okay, all right, bet." So what it appeared to me right off the rip was that she was trying to establish her worth to me, by letting me know that she had this many properties, and she got this many cars, and she got property in different states and cities and all over the world, and basically she was trying to flex and let me, and I didn't even ask her any of these things. She just volunteered all of this information within the first 2 minutes of the conversation, just rambling all of this stuff off. So it was clear to me that she was just trying to let me know what caliber chick she was, or whatever the case may be. So after I prepared her for what I was about to say, and she got quiet, I basically just let her know that, I'm not trying to downplay your accomplishments, and I think everything that you have been able to do is dope. But if you're saying these things to show me what caliber of woman you are, I just want to let you know that those things don't mean a lot to me. Those things might mean a lot to a bum nigga, and I'm not even saying that I have as much as her, but I'm not gonna praise you for those things as far as being a quality woman for me. Those things are great, but it's not necessarily what I care for the most as it pertains to a woman that I might be interested in. I got all my own shit. So if that's the only thing you have to hang your hat on, then you don't mean much, or that doesn't mean much for me, you know. And after explaining that part and then shedding light on the things that do matter the most to me, as far as, a woman is concerned, her whole tone, her whole energy changed. And it was extremely satisfying, like in a sense that I know that we all have our traumas or things that we've been through that kind of build us to be the way that we are. And everybody have that, or a lot of us have that tough exterior. And I feel like if I was motivated to, I can get to the bottom of or penetrate anybody's hard exterior, if you will, you know. But I don't be having the patience to do that. I don't have the desire to do that. I don't have the time to do that. So normally I wouldn't even attempt to do that. But in this situation, like I said, I had some time to kill. And about 20 minutes into the conversation, all of the tough girl shit that she was starting out with and all the aggressive shit that she was coming at me with, she had completely changed her tone. She was speaking in a in a very soft tone at that point. She was listening, and you can just tell that she was in a energy that she doesn't normally get to be in with guys. Like, she's used to having guys wrapped around her finger, and basically she the dude of the situation of most of the situations she be in, and for that moment she got to just be in her feminine energy. And I think that she thoroughly enjoyed it, because even though the conversation had, turned out for the best, I still wasn't planning on talking to her no more after that. I still wasn't planning on talking to her anymore after that conversation. But it was almost like a vicious pit bull that only fuck with you now. You know what I'm saying? Like, it'll bite any and everybody else, but when it see me, the tail is wagging and da da da. So it was almost like that feeling that I had accomplished. But even then, so I was like, I still probably wouldn't continue to talk to her after the day, because those problems are usually deep rooted. So although she might approach me different from that point on, there's gonna be numerous situations where that ghetto fucked up shit creeps out and is probably going to end up getting me in trouble or giving me a headache or whatever the case may be. So, like I said, I wasn't really planning on talking to her anymore after that. But she continued to call me from that point on, and she had expressed to me that she was really looking forward to meeting me, and the next time I was in town, to let her know because she would try to make, my trip that much better. So it just so happened that I did end up going back to Toronto. I think that was Caravana weekend. And once again, I wasn't really planning to see her like that. And once again, I still didn't really have a good visual of her, she had been avoiding the video chat. So I was really like, I don't even know if I want to see her, even though we had a couple of pleasant conversations. But she knew I was there, and she kind of called me and was like, hey, why the hell you ain't tell me you was coming? Because I could have let you stay in one of my properties and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm here. I just want to go check out the parade and check out some of the festivities. And I'm going to be at my Airbnb. So she's like, okay, cool. I'm going to go, do a couple of things with my friends. And then I'm going to call you afterwards and we can link. I was like, all right, cool. So the day came and went. I think I ended up going to sleep at like 11 p.m. or something like that. And then I woke up to my phone ringing. It was her at like 4 in the morning. She pissy drunk. And she like, Brandon, I'm sorry, time got away from me, but I still want to see you. What you doing? And I'm like, nah, I'm asleep. I'm at the Airbnb. She's like, oh, hell nah, you on vacation. You ain't here to sleep. Get your ass up. Where you staying at? I'm about to come get you. No, actually, she said she was about to come see me. So I was like, okay, cool. It's 4 in the morning. I pretty much already know what it's hitting for. That's what I'm thinking. I don't care to do that, but I'm like, well, what the fuck else are we gonna be doing at that time? So I gave her the address. She pulled up, music loud as shit, just on some ghetto shit. But I must say that I did like the way she pulled up. She pulled up in the fucking pimped out G-Wagon and shit. I opened the door with like a towel on or some shit. Like I was sleeping. I'm in my underwear, so I opened up the door with a towel on, like waving at her, like, "Hey, come on!" And she like, "Come over here." She parked across the street and shit. So I get up. I mean, not get up, but I open the door all the way and walk across the goddamn pavement in my socks with nothing but a towel on. And she's like, oh my God. I'm trying to get a better look at her because, like I said, I didn't really get a good look at her up until that point. And upon looking at her, she wasn't ugly. I wouldn't say that she was like the most beautiful thing or anything like that, but she wasn't ugly. And I was like, okay, cool, I can do this. So I'm like, what's up? And she's like, I'm hungry. Let's go get something to eat. And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, go get some clothes on so we can go and get something to eat. So I'm like, all right, fuck it. So I went and threw something on real quick, hopped in the car. She got her ratchet ass music blasting, and she driving 150 miles an hour, swerving through traffic all crazy and shit. I'm like, oh, hell. I'm like, oh, hell nah. I'm in real danger right now. So we ended up going to, I think it was like a Denny's or something like that. And she kept on giving me little compliments on how handsome I was. And you can tell that she was some real flirty shit, and I was there for it. I'm gonna allow this. But anyways, she's like, "Hey, get whatever you want. It's on me," and blah 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 blah, so on and so forth. I'm like, "You sure?" She's like, "Yeah, I got you." And I'm like, "All right." I wasn't really hungry, so I ordered something light. So we waiting for our food to come, and then in walks these five guys. I don't know where the fuck they came from, but they came in and they sat in the booth right next to us, and we could kind of overhear one of the guys say, "Man, I can't believe ain't no hotel rooms available right now. Fuck." Obviously, hotel check-in is usually at like 3 p.m. or some shit during the day. So of course they wasn't about to get a hotel room at 4 in the morning. But she took it upon herself to butt into their conversation, which she was already out of pocket, and this is the type of shit that I would expect from her, which is why I would avoid the situation altogether to begin with. But she butts into the conversation. "Oh, you can't get a hotel room? You better go to Motel 6." And the guys start laughing. They all start laughing. He's like, "Oh, hell nah, I'd rather sleep in my car before I sleep in the Motel 6. And she's like, "Yeah, don't sleep on the Motel 6. They got a nice one over da 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 and such and such and such and such." So one of the other guys was like, "Well, you seem to know a lot about motels," and they all started laughing and shit, which clearly offended her because I guess he was insinuating that she spent a lot of time at Motel 6s or whatever the case may be. So she went the fuck off on them, and I'm thinking to myself like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna have to fight all these niggas." Bitch, what you mean I know a lot about motels? And what you don't know is that I own this many properties and I have some of my employees that stay there and da 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 and do this thing and do that. So before you start to jump into conclusions, fat boy, you need to da 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 da. You don't know nothing about no bitches anyway, because clearly you don't get no pussy. I'm like, "Oh my god." So they going back and forth. I'm just sitting there like, "Oh man, this is about to end bad." But long story short, we got out of there unscathed. I told her that that's not cool and that's not really how I rock. In that situation, if there was gonna be a situation, I was gonna have to stand up and handle it and so on and so forth. And she kind of understood what I was saying after the fact. But once again, I would expect stuff like that to happen in different situations for the foreseeable future. So I was like, "You know what? I'm definitely gonna keep this to a minimum." But oddly enough, I think she cool. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be with her. She had like a put together body where I think her body was paid for. What she had on that night, like some type of jean something, but her titties kept falling out, and I'm like, "What the at the table and shit?" I'm like, "Oh my god!" But physically, not really my cup of tea. She was cute, but not really my cup of tea. Mentality wise, a little too rough around the edges for me, but I am and I was attracted to her business mind. You know, I thought to myself, like, I can get some money with this girl, and if nothing else, we still in contact here and there. But I'm extremely inconsistent when it comes to communication due to the amount of work that I put in. But we are still in contact, and I do feel like we'll have some business ventures possibly in the future. So that's just one experience, and I guess I'll share some of the other ones with you guys here and there, and we'll actually get deeper into my point of view as it pertains to dating, and I'll present all types of little stuff to you guys, and like I said, I think ultimately it'll be very interesting. But peace out for now.